St. Mary's Catholic Cemetery, somewhere in Mississippi. Where are we at? Mississippi?
Bay St. Louis.
Bay St. Louis.
There's an amazing little church over here. Beautiful. I guess it has a lot of blues music.
So one of the things that we like to do when we're out farting around, driving around, when we see like an old cemetery, we will stop and we get out and wander through it.
So this one is especially cool. A lot of the graves are above ground. I think that's because the water level in this area is so high. But, you know, we saw some graves back towards the back that were from 1943 and they did not float away. So I'm not really sure if it's a necessity to be built up like this or they just like it.
Some of the graves they have, like this one, above ground. Pretty nice. This is a mausoleum, is that correct?
I don't know,
I'm gonna
probably.
call this a mausoleum. But then there's other ones like over here. It's just concrete.
Oh yeah.
Big old slab of
I
concrete.
don't like this.
Oh, this one looks like, it's concrete, but it's stamped like it's brick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I like about going to the cemeteries is just it gives you time for reflection on my own mortality. Looks a little nippy.
We especially liked this marker here. The Blaze family were clearly deep thinkers because it says, "What is life? Whence comes death? The answers are the prerogative of those who lie here, silent in their graves." And then the train sounds loudly in the background. Ooh. So earlier today, we sat in a parking lot and attended virtually the funeral of a good retrovive friend of ours, Paul, out of Buffalo, New York. And that's probably my first virtual funeral.
Oh yeah, that was my first virtual,
Yeah.
for sure.
But it was a beautiful tribute to a wonderful man. And then I guess finding ourselves at this cemetery now, it's kind of, and you know, I read that last headstone about death is for the one lying here to peruse or whatever it says. And what I liked about Paul's family and his funeral was that it was more a celebration of life, the certainty that they believe that there is a heavenly reward where Paul is celebrating with Jesus now. I thought that was kind of neat. Like this last week we've had the opportunity to visit the cemetery where my parents will be buried. They aren't there yet, but their plaque is there, oddly enough. So we saw, you know, the resting spots for both sets of grandparents. And then the resting spot where my parents will go, hopefully the end of February. We had planned for it last July, and then COVID, you know, nobody could travel. But
Well, your dad had passed away, what, last January?
2019.
And your mom was a couple years before that?
About 3 years, almost 3 years before that. So she's just been hanging out with him since then.
So we haven't like pre-planned their funeral. They've already passed away.
Oh yeah, they're already gone.
Hey, Clyde and Jackie.
Hey,
I got a spot in the wall for you.
You know when you said, "Mom, you're going to come to each of our homes for 3 months out of the year"? There it is. Not quite like that, huh?
No.
Yeah, but it's interesting. Like, that's a pretty new cemetery, and then to be here in, where did we say we were? Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, in an older cemetery, not super old, but older.
Yeah, these are the kind of cemeteries that we really like to walk around in and look and explore. When we got like deeper into the cemetery, it was much more current and
A little sadder.
a little more sad to me, like when we're in the 1800s, early 1900s. That's just history at that point. It's not someone's
Not
personal
fresh
sadness.
pain.
Yeah.
For some family. Or fresh celebration.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rest in peace, Paul.
Rest in peace, Paul. This week we're hugging the Gulf Coast and only traveled about 51 miles. We're really enjoying the relaxed pace and the comfort of state parks, electricity, and running water. We stopped briefly at the 100-man DBA Hall, an official stop on the Mississippi Blues Trail. We stopped to tour the Jefferson Davis Presidential Library. It took a few minutes of head-scratching for us to realize that Jefferson Davis was the Confederate States president during the Civil War, but not a president of the United States. After an excruciatingly long tour of the Jefferson Davis home, we headed for the cemetery and were surprised to see all the Confederate flags. A volunteer told us that usually they only place all the flags on the graves on the Confederate Memorial Day, but recently they decided to place them up year-round. It was both surreal and unsettling to be surrounded by all of the Confederate flags. As we passed through Biloxi, I decided it was time to try cooking a little Southern food. We've uploaded the entire cooking session onto our Patreon channel as member-only content. We'd love it if you'd stop by and support our efforts by becoming a Patreon. For the moment, we'll just leave it to Noelle to tell us how that dish turned out.
That's delicious, dear.
The Cajun girl says it's okay.
The Cajun girl says it's okay.
Join us next week as we continue our trek east towards warmer weather and we explore the historic Fort Pickens.